Okay, so today we're diving into a guide for IMGs looking to work in Poland.
Yeah, so Indian medical graduates specifically.
Right.
Yeah, and you've given me this really comprehensive report, and
Right.
it's pretty in-depth. It lays out everything, like every step of the way,
Yeah.
from do you even qualify to be recognized,
Yeah.
all the way to settling in and working.
Yeah, our goal today is to sort of like pull out the need to know info,
Absolutely.
so that people listening can be like, okay,
Yeah.
this is what I need to focus on.
The key takeaway.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So why Poland? I mean, like, why is this an attractive option?
Well, I mean, it's got a really good reputation.
Mhm.
The healthcare system in Poland is strong.
Mhm.
It's a European country.
Okay.
They're committed to high standards of medical education.
Yeah.
It's a growing economy.
Hmm.
And a lot of Indian MBBS students already go there for, their studies.
Right.
Because the education is really good and it's relatively less expensive.
Yeah, that's super interesting because it suggests that there's already this familiarity,
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
Indian medical professionals there.
Mm-hmm.
But the formal procedures are what we really need to focus on today.
Yeah, because it's great that there's that familiarity and a lot of people going there.
Yeah,
But your MBBS degree
right.
doesn't automatically mean you can just go practice in Poland.
Okay.
You need to go through this formal process.
Okay.
It's called nostrification.
Nostrification.
Yeah, it's basically an assessment that compares your qualifications to what Poland requires.
So it's like saying, okay, this is what you did in India.
Right.
How does it match up
Exactly.
to what Poland says you need?
Yeah, it's the first thing you got to do if you're serious about working there.
So who handles this? Like, where do you even begin?
So it's the medical universities themselves.
Oh, really?
Yes, specifically the ones that are authorized to actually award doctorates.
Okay.
And they need to have a really good academic track record in the relevant field of medicine. Since 2021, actually, that's like their benchmark.
Okay.
But here's the catch. Okay, each university might have its own specific requirements.
Oh, wow.
So you really got to contact them directly.
So it's not like a one-size-fits-all.
Exactly. Yeah, it varies, so you got to do your research.
Okay, so then what kind of documents are we even talking about here?
Well, it varies, like I said, but the report gives some typical examples.
Okay.
You'll definitely need your original medical degree,
Mhm.
transcripts from your studies,
Okay.
internship completion certificate, your passport, a CV,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even your syllabus,
Oh, wow.
sometimes a birth certificate,
Okay.
and if you're married, maybe a marriage certificate.
So they really want like a full picture
Oh, yeah.
of your qualification.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they don't just want like a photocopy, right?
No, you need the originals and then legalized or apostilled copies.
Okay, now that sounds complicated.
It's not too bad, actually. So Poland's part of this thing called the Hague Convention, which basically means they need your documents to have this special stamp.
Mm-hmm.
It's called an apostille, and it's like proof that your documents are legit.
Like it verifies they're real.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You get that done back in India.
Okay.
Then on top of that, you'll need certified Polish translations of most of the documents.
Okay.
And some universities might even want regular Polish translations too, just as a backup.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that's a lot of paperwork.
Yeah, it is.
So once they have all this stuff, how do they actually decide if your degree is recognized?
So the Polish universities are going to really scrutinize everything.
Yeah.
They'll look at your curriculum, your learning outcomes, how long your program was.
Okay.
They compare all that to their own standards.
Mhm.
They even check out your syllabus.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
there's another really important thing. Your Indian degree has to be recognized as valid in India itself.
Oh, so it's like a double check.
Yeah, basically they're making sure you're coming from a solid foundation.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and all this emphasis on original documents and these apostles. Yeah.
It really shows how seriously Poland takes this.
Yeah.
They want to make sure everything's above board.
It's like they're verifying the legitimacy of your credentials.
Exactly. And this is pretty standard in Europe, so the earlier you're aware of it, the better.
Okay, good to know. So what are the possible outcomes? Like what happens after they review everything?
So the best case scenario is full recognition.
Okay,
You're good to go.
awesome.
But they might also find some gaps,
Okay.
between what you studied and what they require.
Right.
And in that case, they might ask you to take some extra courses or pass some exams to
Right.
bridge the gap.
So it's like, okay, you're almost there,
Yeah,
but you need to top up a little bit.
right, exactly.
Okay, and in some cases, your degree might not be recognized at all?
Yeah, that's rare,
Yeah.
but it can happen.
Okay.
But, if that happens, you do have the right to appeal.
Okay.
So don't give up hope.
Right. So assuming everything goes smoothly and they do recognize your degree,
Mm-hmm.
you get a certificate of equivalence.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. That's your golden ticket.
Okay, and what about those discrepancies we talked about?
So if there are gaps, you've got to be prepared to fill them.
Okay.
This could mean extra courses or exams, and they'll test both your theoretical knowledge and your practical skills.
Okay.
They might even have you take a specific nostrification exam.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there are resources out there, though, like AMA Junior Doctor Training can help you prepare.
Okay, so are there any shortcuts or exemptions to this whole process?
So while the standard process applies to most people, there might be some exceptions,
Okay.
like if you have postgraduate specializations
Mhm.
or if there were some specific regulations in place when you graduated.
Okay.
These things might lead to exemptions, but they're not guaranteed.
Right.
The best thing to do is just be upfront about your postgraduate experience
Yeah.
and specifically ask the university about any potential exemptions.
Got it. So how long does this whole process take?
So the report says that nostrification itself should take about 90 days, but that's assuming your application is complete.
Right. So from the moment they have everything they need.
Exactly. And
Right.
remember, this doesn't include the time for translations or any extra requirements.
Yeah.
So realistically, you're probably looking at much longer, maybe even over a year.
Oh, wow.
So plan ahead.
Right. Yeah. Start early.
Exactly. Once you know who to contact and what you need to get ready,
Right.
you can start gathering your documents.
Okay. So we've talked about qualifications, but there's another crucial element here.
Oh, absolutely.
Language.
Language is key.
While English might be okay in some academic settings,
Yeah,
you really need to speak Polish to communicate with patients and colleagues.
absolutely. It's essential for building relationships and providing good care.
So after you've figured out the qualification side of things,
Yeah.
communication is the next big hurdle.
It's a big one, yeah.
Where do you even start with that?
So the report recommends aiming for at least a B2 level.
Okay.
On the CEFR, that's the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages. And you really want to take state-certified exams.
Mm-hmm.
The Polish Medical Chamber actually has its own language test.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and there are some resources that can help you prepare.
Right.
Like Together, their website is together.edu,
Okay.
and SWPS University, they both offer courses specifically for medical professionals getting ready for that exam.
That's great. So they're already catering to this need.
Exactly. And TEL-LC is another recognized certificate.
Okay. And is that Polish Medical Chamber language test mandatory?
Yes, it is. You need to pass it to get full practice rights.
But-
Even if your medical program was in English,
Wow.
or if you can take the final medical exam, the LEK, in English in some cases.
So no matter what, you have to prove your Polish is good enough.
Yeah, it's about patient safety and effective communication.
Makes sense. And what about working while you're still learning Polish? Is that a possibility?
So there's this thing called a limited right to practice.
Okay.
It's called prawo wykonywania zawodu lekarza na określony in Polish.
Oh.
It basically means you can get some initial work experience,
Yeah.
but it's under specific conditions, like you might only be able to work in certain facilities.
Okay.
Or maybe during public health emergencies.
Right.
And you don't have full practice rights yet.
Mm.
It's kind of a stepping stone.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there's a growing emphasis on language proficiency before you're allowed to practice.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's becoming more and more important to have a good grasp of Polish from the get-go.
So while getting through the nostrification process is definitely the first challenge, mastering medical Polish seems like the real key to really working effectively in Poland.
Yeah, you need to be able to connect with patients and colleagues.
Exactly. So what steps can people listening take right now to explore their language learning options?
Yeah, regardless of where they are in their journey. Like, even if you're just starting to think about this,
Yeah.
look into language courses,
Mm-hmm.
maybe find a tutor.
Right.
There's so many resources available these days.
And, hopefully this deep dive has shed some light on the path ahead.
Yeah.
The next steps are really up to you.
It's an exciting journey.
It is.
Full of opportunities.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Of course. Thanks for having me.